All right, guys, how's it going? Now, before I get into this video, I just want to let you know that we've been live all day today. Look, on here, on CupTalk.tv. That's right. We used to do it, just go live all day when I was working in that. And it's been popular. Quite a few people have come in because it enables them to join in the conversation, if they're in different time zones and that. So look out for that during the day. Next week, I won't be doing it over the weekend, I doubt. Look out for us being live, okay? Obviously, I'm working, so I can't participate as much as I want to. But I am there and I drop in and out with the chat. But it gives you guys an opportunity to have a little natter. All right, just letting you know about that. Also, today's morning briefing, if you haven't seen it come up in your YouTube feed, subscription feed, you need to click on my username, go to the channel, and you'll find it. It's because I turned off notifications on that one. I didn't want to waste a notification on it, right? Because YouTube only sends 3 out a day. So in this video, we're going to be talking about a player called Joel Ordóñez, I think is his name. And you'll have seen lots of reports about him, I think, especially this report that I'm going to go over with you. We're going to take a look at that. Now, I've submitted the article, the claims to Dave, my AI assistant. I've trained for more than a year now to analyse football news articles, the journalists that write them, and also the outlets that publish them. All right, so basically, I'm going to go over the article with you, and then we're going to see what Dave thinks of it all. So the article was published by Diario Espresso, all right? And it's important to understand who the outlet is, who the journalist is, before you ever get into an article, I think, right? We know if it's Ornstein, or Joyce, we know that we're going to pay attention to them, right? But when it's an overseas outlet, you might think, oh, I don't know much about them. So we just have a look at, who they are. Is it, straight away from the off, are we going to be doubting them, or are we going to think, oh, there could be something in it? So the article comes from Diario Espresso, which is a long-established national newspaper in Ecuador, founded in the 1970s. It's a legitimate mainstream outlet that covers politics, economy, and sport. Domestically, particularly with Ecuadorian footballers, Espresso is considered a serious publication, not a fan blog or click farm. That's important, right? So not it's not known for spreading shite, basically, for clicks. The journalist is someone by the name of Jason Ruiz, who is a real sports reporter who regularly writes about Ecuadorian, why am I pronouncing it wrong? Ecuadorian players, especially those moving abroad. There are no known scandals or credibility issues attached to him, and within Ecuadorian football circles, he is taken seriously. So we've got a good outlet, a serious journalist. However, and this is crucial, of course, neither Espresso nor the journalist Ruiz are primary sources for Liverpool transfer news. They do not have established access to Anfield decision makers, UK agents, or Premier League executives. Their strength lies in local and national Ecuadorian football, not inside Premier League negotiations. So this starts from a position of legitimacy, but not authority. Now, here's the full article. I'm not going to read it all out to you, because, first of all, you shouldn't really do that, but you can for commentary. Let's take a look at it. I'll see what you need to know. So the headline is Joel Ordóñez arrives at Liverpool and will have a millionaire contract in England. It's quite an exaggerated headline, like bigging him up big time sort of thing. The Ecuadorian takes the biggest step of his career with a millionaire contract and the full backing of the Reds hierarchy. Now remember, this is translated. Liverpool are one signature away from completing a strategic operation with a South American stamp. Ecuadorian defender Joel Ordóñez is just details away from becoming a new player for the Reds after a direct tug-of-war with Chelsea and parallel interest from Inter Milan. In the end, the sporting project at Anfield tipped the balance. So whoever is, not the journalist, but whoever's behind the journalist, if the journalist isn't making it up, he's got a source, right? That source wants the journalist to believe that all these clubs were really, in for him because he's a big deal. The centre-back, currently with Club Bruges, has been closely followed by several European giants, thanks to his consistency, defensive solidity and sustained development. At Liverpool, they believe he fits perfectly into the club's new profile: youth, physical power, and strong resale potential in the Premier League, the most demanding league in the world. The resale potential bit's quite interesting for an overseas outlet to say that, because people associated to Liverpool Football Club often talk about, resale potential. That's why they don't go for the old players, you know what I mean? Like, traditionally, well, certainly under this ownership, they like to go for players of a certain age that, they'll get the best years out of them and then maybe cash in on them towards the end. You might think that's what all clubs do, but they don't. Some clubs are happy to have veteran players, let them see out, their careers out or whatever. But if Liverpool can get a player with a strong resale potential, especially if he exceeds, it's of quite interest to the owners. The move to England also represents a significant financial leap in the Ecuadorian's career. His salary would place him amongst the highest paid Ecuadorian footballers in Europe. Now, I don't have any comparisons for that, to verify that. While Mohamed Salah tops Liverpool's wage structure with earnings close to $2 million per month, other young players such as Szoboszlai, Frimpong or Chiesa earn figures ranging between $506,000 and $800,000 per year. Within that context, Ordóñez could sign a deal worth around $7 million per year. I'm going to get to the pounds version of that, excluding performance-related bonuses and commercial income. Now, this is a bit of this bit's interesting here. Sources close to the negotiations indicate that Michael Edwards, doesn't say Richard Hughes, Michael Edwards has already been appointed as Liverpool's official liaison to finalise the agreement with Club Brugge. The main terms are said to be agreed, pending final details and medical examinations. Joel Ordóñez is therefore preparing to leave Belgium and step into the elite level of European football, another Ecuadorian in the Premier League and another chapter opening for a generation that no longer asks for permission. Okay. Analysis, right? So we're going to hand over to Dave now. Why this has created belief and why it still falls short, okay? Now let's analyse what's actually being claimed. The article does not talk about interest, scouting or monitoring. It states definitively that Liverpool are one signature away. Personal terms are effectively agreed. Michael Edwards is personally finalising the deal and only medicals and minor details remain. Those are end-stage transfer claims. When journalists make claims at that level, the standard of evidence has to be extremely high. The sourcing problem, well, the entire piece relies on sources close to the negotiations. There are no named sources, no agent quotes, no club's confirmation, no corroboration from UK-based journalists. That's a major weakness, especially for a Premier League transfer of this supposed size. The salary claim, and this is the biggest red flag according to Dave, is the article claims he would earn $7 million per year. Converted into currencies, that we might be more accustomed to in England or Europe or whatever, you're looking at around £5.5 million per year, okay, which is £105,000 per week. I think he's 22 years of age. £105,000 per week, or 6.4 million euros per year if you do euros. That would place him straight into Liverpool's, upper wages, especially for that age. So for context, that is not young resale profile money. That is not first season from Club Brugge money. And according to Dave, he doesn't think that Liverpool, throw around, £100,000 plus wages to defenders of that age arriving from Belgium. This alone severely undermines the credibility of the article. Well, I would step in there and say, maybe there's some exaggerating on the details of the deal, if there is a deal, if any of it is true. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's utter bullshit, but it's being flagged up here as, the money side of it alone, for his age and where he's coming from, unproven, raises a red flag. The echo chamber effect. A big reason fans believe this, or believe the claims, is because the story has been reposted, translated, aggregated, and added to gossip columns, but repetition is not confirmation. UK outlets like BBC Sport and Sky Sports have only mentioned this particular story in gossip and paper talk roundups or columns, which explicitly do not verify stories. They repeat headlines, they don't confirm deals. Like reports according to, or they'll put a little snippet in and then they'll put the outlet name. Someone's messaging me. It's not, some people say, I've seen it on the BBC or I've seen it on Sky Sports, which people think that gives it a bit more credibility, but sometimes they're just saying, according to reports. Most importantly, there has been complete silence from, the likes of Paul Joyce or David Ornstein, even Fabrizio Romano. Mo Salah! Don't worry if you don't get that. And then obviously, The Athletic, Guardian, Telegraph, etc. When Liverpool are genuinely one signature away, those names appear quietly, cautiously, and very quickly, and they haven't as yet. So a final summary really is the balanced conclusion, which we need to consider, is Expresso is a real newspaper. Jason Ruiz is a real journalist. Joel Ordóñez is a real well-scouted defender. Liverpool interest is plausible, but the article overstates certainty. The salary figures don't sound too credible, and the sourcing is too weak for the strength of the claims. The story has grown through amplification, not verification, because we are seeing this all over. I don't remember. I think I've still got an article on here that I was looking at earlier from a very good website. I don't know if you guys can see this behind. Sportwitness.co.uk, very good website for sourcing, articles and things from around Europe and the world, actually. And, they're basically saying, they're talking about earlier reports that came out, do you mind, Remy, about this earlier in the week. And now the Ecuadorian newspaper Diario Expreso picks up on that and covers the latest on the transfer. So previously, if we click back one, on December the 3rd, Bola VIP reported the Reds have scouted the centre-back this season. It was also reported Chelsea have re-entered the race and are set to battle with Liverpool for him, all right? So this report that we're going over today is not the first report, obviously, we know that, but it's a very, it's on, it's happening, it's done kind of thing. Well, done subject to one signature, right? Talk about the interested parties would have to offer more than 40 million. Anyway, Sport Witness picked up on it today as well, and they're basically touching on what I'm touching on with you, but not in as greater detail. So yeah, the story has grown through amplification, not verification. What Dave means there is you see it all over the place and it seems so loud, it seems so believable. I've seen some of the Twitter twats on there purely for that reason saying this must be happening because it's so loud, and that's not always the case. So the bottom line is it's a strong rumour, it's not a confirmed deal. Until top-tier Liverpool journalists confirm movement, this stays firmly in the interesting but unproven category, no matter how loud the noise gets. If and when it is real, it won't need, Ecuadorian headlines to convince us, because obviously we'll hear it from people that we're used to hearing it from and that we trust. Now, Dave thinks if Liverpool were about to give a young defender a £105,000 a week deal, upwards of that or whatever, that would be a big deal. And he thinks that the regular suspects, journalists, would be already over it. Now, what we're talking about, we're talking about the credible ones, Joyce and Ornstein. They're the only two, to be honest with you, right? Others, we've seen, or we can see other journalists in that Liverpool clique talking about this player, over the Christmas period or whatever, but that's because it's originating from, outside the country, and, they'll sometimes mention it, but won't tell you where they heard it from. But fortunately, we get to see where it all comes from. So without focusing on that too much, my view on it is it's a very, very big, bold claim by the journalist, who we know is not someone that's known for bullshitting. So that journalist must be fairly certain that Liverpool have a strong interest in the player, which does sound plausible, right? Believable. Maybe the journalist, not the journalist, the agent behind it, whoever the source is, maybe they're just egging it up a bit, you know, making it sound like really fucking bigger than it is. Why would they do that? Because maybe they think, oh, Liverpool, you know, maybe we're negotiating with Liverpool, but this, you know, Liverpool are trying to sign him, so then maybe Milan or Chelsea, like we mentioned before, obviously they've got their own dramas, maybe they will offer more money and stuff. You've got to be cautious. One thing I've been saying for a while now is that I thought Liverpool would target a young centre-back in January. So that falls into my thinking. You know, I say this all the time when people say, what do you reckon? I say, well, regardless of Mark Guéhi, right, I do think they'll try it on for Mark Guéhi. Regardless of that, I think Liverpool are going to try. Let me be very specific with my wording. I thought Liverpool would look at signing, you know, a young centre-back in January. So that falls into that category. The article sounds a little bit adventurous, a little bit too exaggerated, but there's a lot of articles from out in that region saying that it's going to happen. We have to determine whether is it scouting and they're all going mad, or are they all just copying each other? You know, like the Twitter twats do, you know, and stuff like that. So I know that I'm not really able to tell you what's happening, right? You watch this video and it's like, well, don't, what's happening? But how the fuck do I know? You know, what I'm telling you is, I'm trying to, you know, I try and tell you about the media behind these articles. So if this was a clickbait operation or a journalist that, you know, we often talk about a lot of journalists on here that are shite, right? But this is, you know, a credible outlet and a credible journalist. So I think having that little bit of context, little bit of information helps us when we start to see these things come in. And if it is edging to, you know, a possibility of happening, then obviously at some point you're going to get your Ornstein and your Joyce chime in, even Fabrizio maybe, or something like that. The reason I've made the video is purely to say, hey, you know what, guys, this is actually coming from a credible outlet and a credible journalist. So there's got to be something in there somewhere, but be cautious, just be cautious for the reasons given in this video. I hope it makes sense. Okay, guys, I'm going to leave that with you. If you've got any comments you'd like to give, please do. It could be a case of Liverpool stacking a deal. We spoke about that many times before over the years, right? Where Liverpool stack deals. And it's a phrase that I coined a while back. Sorry, I've just had a cup of tea and I feel like burping. Where Liverpool sometimes know they can get a player, know they've got the fee sorted, they know they can make it all happen and put it through at any moment, but then sit on it, all right? And look at other things. All right, we can do that with him, right? If my memory serves me right, I think they did it with Ryan Gravenberg, didn't they? And we did it with someone else not so long ago. It was kind of like, it's in the bag. We know the player wants us. We know the agent wants us. We know the selling club are up for it. We can make it happen. And that would make a bit of sense by the reporting over there, wouldn't it? Like, oh, it's all there. Well, even the article said, didn't it? It's lacking one thing, which is the final push over the line. So Liverpool can sit there now. It's a gamble they take sometimes because other clubs could step in and they could say, right, we've got him. We can push that through at the minute. But let's just see if Mark Guéhi if we can get Mark Guéhi, for example, and then the other one falls away. Does it mean that the journalists and the outlet were lying? No. All right. Stacking, you know, these deals. Sometimes when they stack a deal, it's something we've seen with Liverpool quite a bit in recent years. How they do that, and it makes sense. Like work out who you've got in the bag, who you're going to do. And that would explain why the likes of Joyce or Ornstein were maybe not going with it at the moment, because maybe Liverpool are undecided as to whether to make that final commitment. And the article basically says that, if you think about it, whether we want to believe the article, all the ins and outs, the wages or whatever, it basically says, doesn't it, that barring, what was it, one signature? Let's go back to the beginning. Liverpool are one signature away from completing a strategic operation. So one signature away. So that could just be it could be stacked. Could be. I don't know, guys. I'm not an ITK. I break this shit down. The good thing is now, we've not discussed this journalist before on here, but Dave has now got that journalist's name in the log. We've got it there if we need to follow up at any point. I personally would still be listening out for this one. I would. But I think what Dave's trying to convey here is be cautious. It sounds a bit exaggerated, and as yet there isn't any real credible, journalist that we would listen to saying it. But that doesn't mean it's not happening or won't happen. All right, guys, I'll leave it with you. I'm going back to my live stream now. And Remy, who's annoying the fuck out of me down here, my rescue dog. If you enjoyed this video, please thumbs up the video. Please drop me a comment. I'd love to know your thoughts on it. I really would. If you want to support my channel, there's a love out under the video. It's called a super thanks. I always give a shout out to everyone that does that in my morning briefings the next day. There's also links in the video description if you want to buy me a coffee or a beer. Revolut's my favourite one. I've got to be honest with you. That's my beer kitty for a Saturday. All right. So if you want to buy me a beer, the link's in the video description. But I'd appreciate a thumbs up. We like a thumbs up, don't we, girls? Yeah. And a comment. All right, guys. I'll keep an eye on this one for you. In fact, I'll set up an alert on this over here where I monitor things in real time. And if anyone of any interest says anything, I will let you know. But there has been a lot of reports about him amplified, but not by the right people at the moment. So let's just see what happens. All right, guys, take it easy.